All right, welcome to another episode of Soto Desperado Play Star Wars The Old Republic. I'm continuing on mission. I went from up here to like down here. I'm just continuing the mission. I do have an Anton. There we go. Millionaire Morning Show. Biden should pardon Trump. Stephen A. Smith switches sides again after Hunter Democrat. Yeah, this guy, he's more like a conservative, I think, than a Democrat.
Going to Stephen A. Smith and Chris Cuomo and getting what their perspective is on this whole situation. Spend no more than 10 minutes on this. We got to move on.
You know, the Biden situation disgusted me in terms of the parting only from this standpoint, Chris. Nobody on the planet, you want to be a cynic and you want to act like you would be offended by something like that if you're one of those people out there, fine. But no one within reason would have a problem with him saying, it's my son. I love him. There's no way I'm sending him to jail. And I have the power to avoid it. Nobody would blame him for that. But that's not where he went. So I didn't have a problem to answer your question directly with the decision that he made to pardon his son. Boo Boo the Fool knew he was going to do that. I don't care who he stood in front of or sat in front of and said that he wasn't going to pardon his son and he was just going to go by the letter of the law. Please, everybody and their grandmother knew he was going to pardon his son. But to come out and to start talking about how it's been a witch hunt and the Department of Justice and others were after him or whoever it was and, you know, the GOP rather was after him. Well, wait a minute. What have y'all been doing with Donald Trump all of these years? Now, you can make an argument about the legitimacy of the cases against Donald Trump compared to what wasn't legitimate, etc. That's not the point. The point is it was clearly politicized. You had folks on the left who were hell-bent on going after Donald Trump because they were determined to make sure that he couldn't run for re-election or that these elements would get in the way of him possibly winning re-election. And now we know why more than ever, because they weren't confident they would ever be able to beat him. He'd been a Republican nominee since 2016. He beat Hillary Clinton with the Electoral College vote. He wouldn't concede defeat in 2020, but he did receive over 74 million votes at that particular moment in time. And then you fast forward 4 years later, despite the 34 felony convictions, the 2 impeachments, the bevy of crimes that he had been accused of, the Republican voters out there, the conservative voters out there, and a lot of independents from various communities said, he's the guy we want, and I've said it on many, many occasions. It wasn't about him. Just like it wasn't about Biden in 2020, it was more against Trump. In this particular instance, it was an indictment against the Biden administration, what had been going on for the last 4 years, some of the things going on with the border, obviously inflation, of course, crime in the streets, of course, woke and cancel culture and all of that, it all played a role. And so for him to come out and to talk about that this was a witch hunt when clearly it could be argued that's exactly what you were doing to Donald Trump or you assisted in doing seems beyond hypocritical. And that was what disgusted me. It wasn't his decision. It wasn't him pardoning his son. It was the weak, pathetic explanation that he gave, which has most critics just shaking their heads and raising their eyebrows and saying, what nerve you have.
Now, if Stephen A. Smart is this smart, if Stephen A. Smith is this smart and being able to articulate himself, because he's getting better. Let me give Stephen A. Smith a little bit of credit. I know he's trying to pivot into being more culturally relevant because he's trying to build a platform and a following on YouTube in particular, outside of ESPN. And I think that that's a smart thing for him to do. And so he's getting his reps up. He's having conversations. He's getting better. I have to give him his credit. He is getting better. You got to give credit where credit is due. But if Stephen A. Smith is this smart, then why did he vote for him in the first? Why did he vote for Kamala Harris in the first place? Why did he vote for the Democratic Party if everything that he's been saying over these years, and I mean everything that Stephen A. Smith has been saying over the years, has been aligned with what we say here on the Millionaire Morning Show? My question then becomes, then why does he still say on the Democratic plantation? I cannot and I will not ever take him serious when it comes to having these conversations, because his voting record and what he stands for publicly does not align with what he's advocating for and who he's holding accountable on his platforms. I'm not even sure, because it's hard for me to believe that Stephen A. don't believe what he's saying, because it very much aligns with whatever the popular sentiment is. And he's articulating himself well. I'm giving him credit for that. But my question is, then how come it didn't align when it came to voting? Why do you continue to say, oh no, I stand with Democrats? Why do you continue to vote for Kamala Harris when you said that she was incompetent, she was unable to answer questions, she didn't put herself in the right position, she's not the best for the job? Hunter Biden, lies, stealing, finesse, all of this stuff. Why do they continue to have this conversation and then say, but no, y'all need to vote that other way? Because either one or two things is happening. Either you're a closet Republican or you're a paid plan. Either you're a closet Republican or a paid plan. Let me turn on these lights over here.
Now, I agree with you 100%. I went light on that point in my open because I knew you were going to make it. I agree with you 100%. And he didn't have to do it that way. He could have just said what you said, which is, hey, look, I don't want them. He's my son, and they're going to go after him. And if I can protect him, I'm going to protect him. You know what else Biden should do? And I know people are going to get upset about this, but just think about it before you go crazy on me. Not you, everybody else. If I were he, I would pardon Trump.
You know something? Honestly,
I would say
as crazy as this sounds, Chris,
Trump don't need your
that's
pardon,
exactly
dog.
what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. Enough's enough. You know what? You're the Democrats. You lost the election. You got your butt whipped. You couldn't prevent him from going back to the White House. More than a dozen cases have been dropped against him. The cases that have been ruled against him, he's going to appeal, and he'll probably get off from having to deal with all of that. It's time to move forward. You want to get at Trump? Sit back and judge what he does. Guess what? You got a midterm election in 2 years. Are you going to be ready if you're the Democratic Party? You should be. He's going to be the presidency for 4 years. You're going to be able to judge every single act that he does. March forward, move forward. Gerald Ford could have let Nixon suffer. To say he didn't let that happen. Why? Because it was for the good of the country. The whole hanging Chads issue in 2000 between George W. Bush and Al Gore. Gore could have dragged it on. He didn't. It was for the better of the country. And a lot of times these folks speak about this stuff, but they don't do what they say they're going to do and what they implore others to do, which is where the disgust elevates exponentially for Washington, D.C. Because
listen, nobody cares about your pardons anymore. Nobody cares about a Joe Biden pardon. Symbolically means nothing as far as how it would affect any other future elections. Dog, I don't care if Joe Biden pardoned R. Kelly and all of the women came out saying, this is the key to ignition, I done fresh out the kitchen, mama rolling that body, got every man in here wishing, dipping on coke and rum. I'm like, so what, I'm drunk. It's that freaking weekend, baby, I'm about to have me some. It's the key. I'm on. Yeah. I don't care if he pardoned R. Kelly, Suge Knight, and Diddy all at the same time. It has no relevance anymore. A Joe Biden pardon has no impact symbolically. Symbolically. You know how we give Trump credit for getting out Kodak Black and Lil Wayne and all of them? It has no impact symbolically anymore whatsoever. At all. I don't care how many black women vote at a 90-something% clip. I'm starting to question that. I don't believe anything anymore.
Yeah, that's where I am now.
I don't believe anything anymore from anybody. Bounce, 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 bounce.
Man.
Now, usually I don't do
You can't
this.
trust Democrats. What the fuck can you trust? Really?
But let's go ahead and give them a little taste of the remix.
I had such faith in those people.
Usually I don't do this, but sometimes I might want to give y'all a little taste of the remix. It has no impact whatsoever. Once you're exposed on a presidential level as a person that is basically trying to cover up for potentially something that happened that we don't even know about yet, that we can't substantiate, then it means nothing whatsoever. And so people don't take you seriously. They don't have any regard for you anymore. And so we got to keep it moving from that. Joe Biden is done. Everything that they said that Joe Biden was going to have, everything that they said was awesome about him, it's over. Joe Biden is done. He put a can in him, stick a fork in him. Go ahead and get him his little quilt. Send him over to Camp David for the rest of his 47, 48 days that he got to stay in office. If Joe Biden decided that he didn't want to appear at the inauguration, I wouldn't even be mad. We don't even want to see him. He a disgrace. They asked me and they said, Joe Biden, where you at? He over in Angola. Did y'all know that Joe Biden was over in Angola? Bounce, 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 bounce. What is he doing in Angola? Angolans don't want you. He over in Angola, probably pushing some LGBTQ initiative over there. Where? Y'all don't believe me? Okay, hold on. Let me see. Joe Biden, Angola. He over in Africa. Joe is in Africa. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Over there kicking it with Africa. And declining to answer any questions about his pardon. Yeah.
I am supposed to go to
kicking it with Umar Johnson. And he took his son with him. Yes, he did. Joe Biden took his son with him over to Angola.
Dream walking is what you do when you use the Voss corruption to walk in your dreams. Well, hope that...
My lord, rule Joven here. If anything to stop...
I will put in a good... I will keep that in...
Good.
Alright, well, let me get another one here. Goddamn. You should just pardon everybody. Everybody.
Biden pulled up to Africa. Right after he pardoned his son, he took a pilgrimage to Africa, just like Umar Johnson.
Oh, boy.
But he's getting a lot of bad press over in Africa. So recently he announced that he's giving Africa $1 billion. What a B. People in North Carolina are suffering. Right here in America, we got a homelessness crisis. But Biden has committed to continuing to enrich world leaders that we know will never filter down into the people of Africa. And we suffering right here in America with a budget deficit. But Biden made an announcement that he was giving $1 billion in Africa. But then he went on a tour with the president of Angola.
There are fresh concerns for US President Joe Biden today after he was captured looking confused and needing assistance with basic direction during his visit to Angola. The president of Angola was forced to direct Joe Biden whilst walking and then seemed to take his arm to stop him from tripping up a step.
I have a hard time believing that we should have somebody in the presidential office that has to be babysit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I have a hard time believing that it makes sense to babysit somebody that has to be basically cared for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Honest to goodness.
This commentator said, WTF, Why is Joe Biden being manhandled like a child by the president of Angola?
He's an elder.
This is beyond embarrassing. This commentator
It's not
agreed,
uncommon
saying
for
because
elders to
he's
get
totally and completely spent.
I do
He's
think
not
that
even a
Biden's
puppet anymore. He's a shell, a husk, basically a living zombie. And Biden's confusion was only the cherry on top of what turned out to be a very controversial visit to Angola. The president was slammed after announcing a massive $1 billion funding support package for displaced Africans following natural disasters.
You know, that's the right thing for the wealthiest nation in the world to do. And today, I'm announcing over $1 billion in new humanitarian support for Africans displaced from homes by historic droughts and food insecurity. We know African leaders and citizens are seeking more than just aid. You seek investment. So the United States is expanding our relationship all across Africa.
They're running this guy like
So
a
Biden
fucking
then goes
puppet.
on to say that we're fully committed and
Or
we're
he's
all
just totally
in
detached.
on Africa. Now, I thought that China had already taken over Africa a long time ago and making sure that they invest and gave out free money so that they can take their land from under them and then do what they wanted to do with it. There's a lot of Chinese people. A lot of y'all need to really brush up on your international relations so you can better understand what's happening throughout the world. But there is a lot of investment that has already been happening for decades when it comes to infrastructure, giving out money, loans, the whole 9 yards. And the African leaders have been bought and paid for a long time ago. Before we get into Sleepy Joe, let me just say this. For some reason, you know, I see people all the time, and I've thought about it, and I've even considered going to visit different places in Africa, and seeing how it is and all of that. For a long time, people keep painting this picture like Africa is an oasis. And I'm sure there are parts of Africa that's absolutely awesome. I know that there's people that's going to live back there so that, you know, the cost of living is lower and all of that. And we can't always go by Hotel Rwanda movies with Don Cheadle and everything. But in my research, personally, and I'm always open to somebody giving me a little bit more insight, Africa is one of the, and I know it's a huge place, but a lot of these countries over there are some of the most corrupt places on the face of the earth. Some of the most corrupt places on the face of the earth. They are so far removed from anything resembling a government that is in control of what's going on with its people, and it is one of the most corrupt places on the face of the earth. Real talk. Straight up. Oh, Anton, you shouldn't say that. No, I said in my research, that's what I found. That's what I found. And again, I don't believe that that's everything and everywhere. This $1 billion that Biden is saying that he's giving over there to Africa, do you think that I think that that's ever going to go to the people? Do you think that I think that it's ever going to go to the people? I was looking at, for some reason, my feed on a lot of these social media platforms have been presenting me with people that are talking about their experiences visiting certain places and moving overseas. And, you know, a lot of them is saying, oh, man, you know what? I made a mistake. I thought that I was going to leave the United States of America because of what happened in the election. And I regret it because it's hard over here. I can't even buy a car. They don't respect us over here and all of this stuff. And I was listening to one woman, and she was talking about how corrupt it is. I believe it was Nigeria. She was detailing how you need to protect yourself even going through the airport and how you have to pay certain people to not even go through your bags.
What kind of
How you have to be careful because anybody that offers you help or a ride is either looking to kidnap you or finesse you out of a bag. That all of the different ways and the things that you can do to get finesse is this and this and this and this. So you got to do this. You got to make sure you keep a 20 here. You got to do this. You got to pay this person. And if they grab your bag and all of this, I said, man, ain't nobody about to be dealing with all of that.
Vehicle paths are currently open for business.
Ain't nobody about to be dealing with all of that. But once I got through all of this, then I was partying. What? That when you go through the airport, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to go all to do this. I said, man, ain't nobody about to do all of that. You think I'm about to do that just to go and visit your mother? My motherland is right here in the United States of America. Born and raised, Detroit, Michigan. Mother from Detroit, Michigan. Father is from Dawson, Georgia. His father is from Dawson, Georgia. Came up here to get a job at the... Man, I'm not about to go there. I don't know y'all. I'll go and visit if it becomes a safe haven and a destination place to visit, if y'all make it more tourist friendly. But just to be going over there, going over there and possibly get finessed or lose my life or get the hell out of here. I'm not about to do that. I am the Americano. Meanwhile, Biden was over there in a meeting with the Angola president trying to figure out how he can keep his eyes open. Look at him. Look at him.
President of the United States of America, His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, President of the Republic of Zambia, my neighbor, His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, His Excellency.
I remember when I was, before we look at Joe, hold on.
Alexander Tshisekedi, President of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the high-level dignitaries around the table, distinguished guests. On behalf of Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, I am honored to join this high-level meeting on the Lobito Corridor, which is a regional interconnection project of immense significance, not just to Angola.
You got either you got the itis, or it's time to go and hang it up and get your quilt. Look at this dude. Look at Biden. Look at Biden. Look how embarrassing this is. Let me tell you something. While we look at Biden sleep, I remember when I visited Jamaica, right? I visited Jamaica and Ochos Rios. You know what's so funny? When people ask me the different places that I've been to outside of the country, while we look at Joe sleep, I always forget that I visited Jamaica and Ochos Rios, right? Because I've been to, obviously, Tokyo. I've been to the Dominican Republic. I've been to Frankfurt, Germany. I've been to Amsterdam. I've also been to, what's the one I just came from? Bucharest, Romania. And I forget that I've been to Jamaica and Ochos Rios, right? But when we went to Jamaica and Ochos Rios, this is real time. This is not pause. This is him in a deep slumber. See, let me show you.
Asia and the Far East.
See?
The Tanzania-Zambia Railway.
All right, so while Joe tried to figure out how he can keep his eyes open, when I went to Jamaica and Ochos Rios, we didn't stay like on a resort or whatever like that. We stayed and we visited and we rode around and we got people to take us around to see how people were really living. So we were immersed in the culture. It was messed up, bro. Honest to God, it was messed up. I remember going down the street and see people basically living in caves on the side of the road. That they had little carve-outs inside of the mountains or the caves that we would be driving down on the road. It got so sketchy at one point where we was going back and forth. It got so sketchy at one point that I started being like, hey, man, because see, if you in the United States of America, a lot of times, even if you in a hood, it's like, you know what? My GPS work, I can get back, I can go, you know what I'm saying? We still in America at the end of the day. No matter what hood you in and where you from, you could figure it out and you can get back in some way, shape, or form because you still in America. I can always catch a flight. Being out of the country and getting caught up in the ghetto and stuff, that junk was wild. And I always go, look at Joe, and I always try to figure out what's going on and what's happening and what's the real culture is. A lot of people go to these places and they only be on the resorts. Look at Joe. Look at Joe. Look at Joe. But I had to go and see what was really happening. It was rough. It was really, really rough. And so I got a lot of respect for the people that's outside of the country trying to survive. But let me tell you something. As Joe sleeps, and even though we got a sleepy president, even though we got a president that just pardoned, even though he goes to sleep right after he pardoned his son, hanging out in Angola,
bilateral and regional commitments.
Even though we got a sleepy president,
allow me to reiterate,
I'm always 100% excited and happy to get back to the United States of the Americas, no matter how messed up this country is. I always am happy to get back to the United States of America. Look at y'all. Look at y'all.
Such partnerships and innovations that Africa's agenda.
Yes, I do remember the kids that was dancing in the street for money. I do remember the kids that was dancing in the street for money. They was doing anything to get them American dollars. I said, man, you know what? It's time to go home. It is time to go home. Jamaica, you've been awesome. Otros Rios, God bless you. God bless you. It's kids in Detroit that I gotta help. I can't keep on giving y'all all of my dancing dollars. Y'all not gonna keep on water waving in front of me. Because listen, it's time to go home. It is time to go. Look, Joe is sleeping. I want to go to sleep.
2063 will be realized. I thank you.
We're gonna look at him till he wake up again. There he goes.
Too bad.
Eric Adams is really going hard.
Biden publicized.
No Diddy. Shout out to homie in the chat. Eric Adams is super duper going bananas when it comes to holding Trump down. Now, yesterday we spoke on Eric Adams saying, or having a comment about working with Tom Homan and Trump with the deportation and getting rid of illegal criminals inside of New York City. Well, today, Eric Adams doubled down and he spoke on the Hunter Biden situation as far as pardoning his son. Check it out.
What you were talking about, the Hunter Biden. Out of all of this, you know, there's almost a level of irony to this all. I just want to bring out something. I want to read. I'm going to read the front page of the New York Times.
Eric Adams is funny to me because he had already had that newspaper geared up because I'm guessing that he anticipated that they was going to ask him that question. So he was on his way into the office that day and he said, you know what? I see this paper on the New York Times at this newsstand. Let me grab this just in case these reporters ask me this question about Hunter Biden getting pardoned by Joe Biden and what the irony of that hypocrisy looks like.
Okay. Let me find that sentence.
You did very good.
President Biden and President-elect Donald Trump now agree on one thing. The Biden Justice Department has been politicized. Does that sound familiar?
Eric is doubling down. Eric is mad. He is so angry. Biden and did them dirty. They left them out to dry. I've been paying attention. I've been covering it for a long time. They left them out to dry. They did them dirty. He said, I'm going to take y'all migrants. I'm going to be a sanctuary city. I'm going to support y'all. And then the minute that he started to question them, or he didn't get no additional monies from the federal government because they couldn't pass nothing else in Congress, and he started to question, he said, listen, man, I don't know what's going on, but what's happening with this migrant crisis, I'm starting to have second thoughts. They put that case on him. That Department of Justice that came knocking at Eric's door, everybody started getting raided. He went full-fledged Republican. He not going to officially say it. He went full-fledged Republican. He did just like most other, just like all of the rest of the black people. Just like all of the rest of my African Americans. You know what they do? Let me tell you what they do. This is what happened during the election. The exit polls and the data and the statistics says that the majority of black people, over 91% of black women, over 78% of black men, voted for Kamala Harris. But every time that I ask somebody now that the election is over and we got Trump in office, and it's the popular thing, because it was very unpopular to be a Trump supporter prior to the election and all of the years leading up to it. When I go out in public now, or when I have a conversation on a panel, or I start talking to people, all of a sudden all black people are conservative. I said, where they do that at? When did y'all leave the Democratic Party? But you know what they are? Most of them, they bandwagon fans. They bandwagon. They the type of people that switch the team that they like when they team start losing, and they all of a sudden became Golden State Warrior fans. But they not Golden State Warrior fans no more. They Celtics fans. Because Celtics, they won a title last year. They won a title last year. All of a sudden, we got all of these Detroit Lions fans all over the country. I see more reaction videos for Detroit. I'm traditionally a Dallas Cowboys fan reacting to the Lions surge. Oh man, you know what? I always thought that Jared Goff was good. I always loved Dan Campbell. All of a sudden, you got all of these people that just so happen, I always wished that the Lions was good. You wasn't there when they was on 16. Now, you know what? Because they just got a different culture. I seen it coming. And that's what we do in politics. That's what we do in politics. No. I don't like that. I don't like it when people are chameleons, because
flip-flop.
At least tell me that you switch sides, because then I'll know that you a chameleon. Because I don't know what you're going to do. That's the same. It happens in content creation. There was plenty of people that was, y'all remember, for those of y'all that's OG Anton Daniel supporters and has always been rocking with me, that's my friends. Hey, remember a couple years ago when everybody turned on me because I wouldn't support and run in the Victim Olympics, and I kept holding black people accountable for running in the Victim Olympics, and they said that I was anti-black. Then all of a sudden I became a tether. Then all of a sudden he wasn't born here. I think he say that because his parents must be Nigerian. Oh man, I can't believe it. He's supporting that white girl over there. I said, if y'all don't like her, that's up to y'all, but she ain't never did nothing to me, so I'm not about to throw her under the bus. I remember. Oh, I don't forget. All of the people that was supposedly be my friends on the internet, not in real life. All of the people that was supposedly my friends, they switched up, because you know what the popular thing to do at that time was to be pro-black and to be anti-white. Now guess what? I get phone call after phone call. And I told y'all, I said that what was his name? I'm going to say names because you know me, I'm a little messy today. It's Messy Thursday. I remember I said, you know what? What was his name? Harvey something, Garvey or something like that. The dude that was rocking with Pearl. And then he switched up on her in order to be able to get his own platform off. And he got 100,000 views on the switch up video. Where he at? We never heard from him again. I said it. I said, oh, he a front runner. He getting all of the views now. Y'all all supporting him now, but we never gonna hear from this guy again. We're never gonna hear from him again because he was nothing before he got with her. And then all of a sudden, y'all acting like she robbed him. Okay, well, let's see what he get when he leaves. Oh, Anton, you being messy. Now, no. Nope. That's what happened. Now I see these same people reacting to my videos. Yeah, man. No! Don't love me now. Hate me the same way that you hated me when you felt some type of way about it. Anton is going down. He's going to lose all of this. Lose what support? You lose what support? These people is bandwagoners. They flip-flop depending on whatever it is that's popular at the time. And when it goes out of style, they going to go out of style and they going to disappear because that's just the way that things go. And I'm going to still be here, still cooking up, still running it up. And still taking care of business. I don't want to be friends now.
Who are you?
Oh, man, we need to have a reunion. Reunion what?
What is he?
Reunion what? I don't want to stream with you. I remember when I reached out to some people and I was like, hey, man, yeah, look, we need to come together and fix the situation. What you think that you gonna use? Use what? You broke. You dusty.
All the conflict. No.
I thought that it would be a good look for you. You know what? I don't even like you no more. I don't want to kick it no more. I got some new friends. They call Carrie, Quentin, Slimmy, Mika, Q, Azriel, Sister. You know what I'm saying? K Cooper, your car. I got real friends. Don't worry about it. We cool. We good. We chilling.
Rest my case.
I'd love to expand on that. You said in the Wall Street Journal the other day that you do believe that you were targeted because of your speaking up about migrants.
That's his name, Sarah Garvey. That's his name, Sarah. Anton, you're wrong about him. All right, well, you know what? I'm not going to forget. I'm going to remind you in a year. I'm going to remind you in about a year and a half. We're going to come back and visit this conversation, okay? I know it died down, but I didn't forget. I got a whole list. Right here. I got a whole list of them right in my notes. Of everything that everybody predicted, I keep it. I got a whole list of things right here. It's in my to-do list. I got a to-do list right here. I got a whole list of it. A whole list of to-dos that I got to address. All of these right here, I got a whole list of to-dos. I got a lot of them. I didn't forget. I revisit it once a month. I go and I say, okay, so let me check on this person, and this person to make sure that I wasn't wrong on it because I got a 6-month window that I'm going to revisit that conversation and bring that up to the general public.
I guess I want to ask, why do you think you were targeted? I believe that the Southern District has said that this investigation into your campaign began before you were mayor. It began in 2021, I believe they said. So, what would they be targeting? Or were they just chasing a lead and found something?
Listen, in all my life, I never had to have the level of discipline that I have right now. But nothing is more harmful and hurtful to have leaks come out, the assault on your character, and you have to sit back.
Somebody said, how far that list stretches back? About 25 years. The only time that I delete somebody off the list is if they expire. That's it. Because let the dead bury the dead. That's what the Bible says. and I go and check them, okay, all right, we're going to remove that off the list so we don't have to check on them no more. I go and check, keep some tabs on them. Hey, what they got going on Facebook? They still dusty? Yeah, okay, I like that.
You know, there was this photo of Muhammad Ali when he was like, had the arrows in him. He was like that. Do you know how much I want to respond to this stuff? I just want to respond to all of this that has unfolded for the last couple of months. And every day before I do off topics, my lawyer said, "Don't you do it." Because, you know, I'm just a fighter. I believe in fighting for my rights. And this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life, of the onslaught of this. And I have to remain silent. And I can't answer and defend myself. That's the hardest thing.
You need to make a list.
But life is kind. There's going to be an opportunity one day to really dig into all that has unfolded. But you cannot ignore the fact, because I know I read a little fast. President Biden
he petty.
And President-elect Donald Trump now agree on one thing. The Biden Justice Department has been politicized. Now,
Eric is wishing for he was wishing for the Democratic Party downfall way before Kamala Harris left office. He is waiting for the downfall, and every single time that the Democratic Party failed, because he said they did him dirty. He felt like they did him dirty and they targeted him. He need to make a list. Listen, the list is not a grudge list. That's the thing that people need to understand. The list is not a list for grudges. I don't want y'all to get that confused. All right? My list is a list for motivational purposes only. Y'all want me to read y'all some of the names on here? There's 25 years worth of names on here. Some of these people y'all don't know, some people y'all do know. It's for motivational purposes only. Some people on this list, I'll tell you this, some people on this list don't know that they're on the list. And it's just to remind myself, sometimes, because, for example, Q and Rita, a lot of times they say, "Anton, you so forgiving. You always giving people grace." And then they come back and they come back to bite you. I say, yeah, that's true. I said, but I got a list though. I said, well, what is the list for? It's to remind me, so that when some people come back or they come around me, it's to remind me not to be so weak, not to be so easily finessed.
I'm inclined to agree. I'm here for healing. We need him to teach us the right. He uses the rock on the nightmares, and then I fight them. And then I take the rock and receive healing.
Correct. Safe journey.
Dan foi vudagan achnan chok tontai. Vebegor nesafun.
When the nightmares appear, you use the dream rock, then I kill them.
Namduak. Bigong ropa lagid na kakamati.
My lord.
What are you waiting for? Use the dream rock.
Team do ay having chok dan tikling turodo.
is this? What's the matter? Lost your sense of humor?
Twinkle atrás.
Sith,
You still haven't.
Apprentice.
Baru Jamunja.
so this is the end then.
May the word.
Danfoy Vutagan Achnan Choktontai Vebegol Nesafun.
This is it. Either this works, or I go insane.
Ito what dingo tango.
Oof. Oh, that looks rough. Jeez. Holy shit. Fucking Sith Richard. Anyway.
Kumniku wai bam lui chotai fai lai angor sun nei lam sayo.
Ni pate uvaro wisandan sware kanidede akja swaluda is.
I can hear myself think. Have them use one of the supply crates off the...
Wow. Well, that was a hell of an experience right there. I have to get out of this transient state here. Or you can't physically leave the area. There we go. Now we can leave. Alright. Get the Millionaire Morning Show.
View. The View. Let's spend 10 minutes talking about this because I thought that this was pretty incredible. I thought that this was pretty incredible. Charlemagne pulled up on The View. Charlemagne pulled up on The View, and y'all be killing me with all of the speculation. Ain't none of y'all right. Charlemagne pulled up on The View, and he says he disagreed vehemently with Whoopi Goldberg. Let's get into it.
Charlemagne the God has been a vocal force in the media throughout the 2024 presidential race, and he's joining us now at the table. Please welcome back the author of the book, Get Honest or Die Lying, Charlemagne the God.
Thank you for having me back. Okay, so my question is, after the election, you said that you were disappointed but optimistic. How are you feeling right now?
I feel the same way because, I mean, what's the other option? Right. You know, I'm a country boy from Moncks Corner, South Carolina, raised on a dirt road. So, you know, my mother was a Jehovah's Witness. My grandmother was a Baptist. So I still believe in this higher power called God. Yeah. And, you know, you can't believe in God when, you know, things go your way and not believe in God when things don't go your way. So at a time like this, you just got to remember your serenity prayer, which is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. But you can't change nothing.
I love that. Yeah.
How come when people lose, they always say, or when people have a bad time, or whenever they don't go their way, they always say, but God is still on the throne? Or maybe you was on the wrong side.
Wisdom to know the difference, right?
You know, we can't change anything.
Can't.
I mean, you know.
Not yet.
Well, 4 years from now, I guess.
Or two. You never know.
But let me ask you this: Trump's campaign ads for some, they're saying they were very effective. And in one in particular ad, he used a clip of you from the Breakfast Club saying, quote, Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners. You say that line was taken out of context. I know it was. But it went on to become one of his most effective campaign ads. I'm also featured in one of his campaign ads.
You might have been 1 and 2.
Yeah. I was. He texted me and let me know that.
Context.
No. No, it wasn't. But what were you actually saying in the clip? And can you please explain that? And how does it make you feel that the campaign used you like that?
Well, it's never good to be taken out of context, but I was explaining to my listeners how effective I thought the actual ad was. Like, you know, the ad was effective before I was in it. I was just sitting at home watching football, and I saw it, and I was like, whoa. And so I knew the immediate reaction was going to be, you know, people are going to say, hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that. So I was explaining that to my listeners. So, I mean, yeah, it never feels good to be taken out of context, but what I didn't like...
He tried to sue. He tried to make a big stink about it and get Trump to remove him from the ad, but Trump was like, nah, we not removing you out of anything. We're going to keep you in the ad.
Most was that they didn't do anything to combat it. Right. I would have ran the same ad and just said, Donald Trump, you know, what is it? Donald Trump supports... What was it?
He was the one that was supporting tax.
Yes, Donald Trump supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners. I would have ran the same ad because it was legislation under him as well. And you know what else I would have did if I was our campaign? Since Donald Trump used me, I would have used Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan said Donald Trump was a threat to democracy. Joe Rogan said he thought Donald Trump was, I think, unhinged was the quote.
Right.
You got to mix it up. You got to get dirty with these people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to muddy the waters a little bit, cause confusion.
Yeah. They spent all of their time and all of their dollars trying to cause confusion. Their entire campaign didn't even have anything to do with themselves. Their entire campaign had everything to do with being anti-Trump. It wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked. All they kept doing and all they kept giving as talking points is talk about Project 2025, talk about how he's a threat to democracy, talk about this, talk about that. None of that actually worked. It wouldn't have made no difference because Trump actually pulled up to Joe Rogan, but Kamala didn't. Trump would actually go out and address the very things that people were accusing him of, and Kamala dodged. So none of that would have worked. It wouldn't have made any difference whatsoever because people actually was able to see people for who they are and not what they projected themselves to be.
Let me ask you something that's going around right now. A lot of this conversation about President Biden getting criticized from both sides of the aisle for pardoning his son Hunter after repeatedly saying he would never do it. And a lot of people are saying that it's hypocritical, etc., as if the other side doesn't do it. But what's your reaction to it?
I mean, I think all of the criticism is valid because, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time. And, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything in regards to, whether or not, his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, hey, man, I'm not focused on that right now. But since they were calling Trump a threat to democracy and they were saying that, nobody's above the law, but they were speaking about him, that's what they were running on. So when he kept saying things like, nobody's above the law, I respect, the jury's decision in regards to my son, he didn't believe that. But he...
Woo! See, this is not the thing that they was expecting. The View regularly has people on that agrees with their talking points so that they can then make themselves feel better. But they were not expecting for him to say that. And in all of this, it just shows that they didn't do their research. Either the producers didn't do their research or the hosts on The View didn't do their research. But either way, somebody missed the boat. Because if they'd have done their research, they would know that, and I got to give Charlamagne a little bit of credit here because I actually disagree with him on a lot of things. If they'd have done their research, they would have known that Charlamagne does not like Biden. He's a staunch Democrat. He is a cape for Kamala Harris. He will never say anything that Kamala Harris has done wrong without at some point trying to make up for it. But he has never, and he has been consistent with this, he has always been a Biden hater. Not even a hater, I can't even say a hater, but he has always held Biden accountable. He has never, ever rolled with Biden. Ever. That has never been his thing. And so when they asked him his question, I don't think that they knew what they was getting themselves into, because then if you don't necessarily care for somebody, but you're still a part of their party, you're going to be honest about them and you're going to hold them accountable. And so now this is one of the rare moments where Charlamagne is actually telling you the honest to God truth, because honestly, I believe most of these people are Republicans deep down in their soul anyway. But this is one of the rare moments where you're going to get something where he tells you the truth because he's not trying to grandstand or make other people feel good about his pick, or he's not caping for Kamala Harris. He doesn't like Joe Biden. He's even on record regularly saying the only reason that he voted for Joe Biden is because Kamala Harris was a part of the campaign. Now, I thought that was a dumb reason, but it does show consistency from him. And so when he's saying, listen, it's hypocritical for them to say that they ran all of this stuff, they stood on business, they said that Trump was a bad guy for pardoning and all of this other type of stuff, and Biden is hypocritical because not only did he lie, but he didn't have to lie. He could have just said that I don't want to answer the question at all, but he wanted the cape and he thought that they was going to win, and so he thought that that was going to make Trump seem like a worse guy, so he stood on business and he has to be held accountable for it. 100%.
Didn't have to volunteer that lie to begin with.
I'm going to stop you for a second.
Uh-oh.
Like we care what you think.
Only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed
You really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend all of a sudden?
I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get over. And this is just my feeling, because at some point you get to the place where you just go, so I'm just going to follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats.
But that's their fault. They're the ones that go out. They're the ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground. Listen, they don't have to do that.
I'm a Democrat. Tell me what the moral high ground is.
The moral high ground is
he is cooking Whoopi Goldberg.
Nobody's above the law. I respect what the jurors are saying. He don't have to do that.
So we're mad at him because he changed his.
Oh no! By the way, I'm not mad at him pardoning Hunter Biden.
But you sound like you're
No.
If I can get in on this,
He cooking her, and she trying to divert away from the facts.
I think it went further, and this is one thing we really disagree on. Joe Biden made a point of saying we stand by our institutions and the impartiality of the Department of Justice.
Yes.
Democrats ran on that. The same DOJ indicted Hunter Biden. How we shouldn't be saying it's corrupt like Donald Trump does. But then in his statement pardoning Hunter Biden, he says that it was a political pursuit by his own Department of Justice.
Explain to me why it is that when Joe Biden does something,
Yeah.
Everybody clutches their pearls. He's wrong.
Why does she keep using that as a talking point?
He
Nobody
lied.
has criticized Donald Trump more than me or Charlamagne
No,
God.
I'm sorry. Yeah, people have criticized him more. I've criticized him more. We've all criticized him more, but you're missing my question.
Okay.
My question is, what is it that makes people flip out with Joe, but we don't have the same kind of thing?
Well, I don't think people are flipping out with Joe. I think Democrats are flipping out with Joe because Democrats believe that they don't represent what he's currently representing. But that's just not true. That's why I say they stand on this moral high ground that simply does not exist. And I think this is also the problem when we pick sides, right? We've turned political parties into teams. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. Ain't nobody more delusional than me, right? Okay? I feel like we're going to the Super Bowl every year, but I'm not delusional. Well, no, that is delusional. But when it comes... But when it comes to political parties, if you pick a side, right, if you say you're a Democrat, if you say you're a Republican, you refuse to be objective about anything.
That's why I'm an independent.
Yes, but
I think that's the best way to go.
But that's not a monolith. We're not, Democrats are not a monolith.
But why can't you say when Democrats are wrong? And why can't Republicans say when Republicans are wrong?
I'll tell you when Democrats
so
are wrong.
So you don't think Joe Biden is wrong?
No, I don't. Can I just point
ridiculous.
this out to you? The president has a pardon power, right?
He said, well, that's ridiculous. And she said, you ridiculous. Oh, when the name calling starts, now he got to go over there and kiss the predator. Check it out.
Say you were ridiculous, Ms. Goldberg.
Yeah,
I would never. I say that. I just think that.
Think about it. Think about it this way.
Don't do it, dog.
Come on.
Oh no! Now you got to go and kiss. That. But he was cooking. He was absolutely cooking. He was absolutely right. A lot of people are delusional, and that happens on both sides. By the way, it happens on both sides. On both sides, on Republican side, y'all just so happen to be the ones that's catching hell right now. On the Republican side and on the Democratic side, it happens both ways. People are reluctant to be honest. Now, I'm not telling you that you have to volunteer criticism, but they're reluctant to be honest about things that they disagree with when it comes to the Republican side. I had to go back and I did an assessment, and I think I did it live on the show one time. And I did an assessment, and I said, man, what is it that I actually agree with on the Democratic side? And I think some of y'all was here. I said, what do I agree with on the Democrat side? And what do I disagree with? Or what do I agree with on the Republican side? And it was tripped out. And that was only one thing that I was questioning on the Republican side. And I was honest about that. And I think at the time it was climate change. And boy, y'all came up here and y'all started reading me the Riot Act. And y'all started educating me. And so I had to be open-minded to it. And I was open-minded to it. I did my own research. I started learning a little bit more. I'm still a little bit on the fence for it. I have to be honest, and it doesn't mean that I'm right. I'm on the fence for it, but I can't agree with everything just for the sake of agreeing. And it's I can't sit here and not call a spade a spade. That's why I always say, George W. II, in my opinion, was, and Biden is running a very close second. That George W. II was the worst president of all time. And I also say that I don't disagree with a lot of the things that Barack Obama did in his first term. We have to be objective enough to be able to call a strike, and a ball, a ball. And we have to also be objective enough to be able to admit when things are wrong. And I see that more on the liberal side than I see it on the conservative side.
Here we go. Finally got to the cave. Finally. What do we got here? Oh, shit. Son of a bitch. It took me all the way back out. Oh. So that, what the fuck happened there? Oh my God. What the hell? I don't believe that shit. So I went back down that tunnel and it fucking killed me.
Medical attention?
It auto-killed me, dude.
Be well.
That's crazy, man. Bunch of ass kissers and everything. Basically, I don't believe in politics. I never did. And this is the kind of shit. All this social politics, identity politics, the DEI, all that shit, or concepts that shouldn't even be here in America. We should be equal. We should be agreeing on what's best for the country instead of fighting. And what it is it's an attempt to destroy the country by allowing the country to destroy itself, by turning the country against itself. And I bet you all these foreign powers that really hate us are behind most of this.
Let's go over to Tiffany Henyard, right? Because I do want to talk about Tiffany. I want to give y'all an update on what's going over there.
We were on top
she is
long,
absolutely
they just
hate her. And when I say pissed, she is 100% pissed about being pushed out of the primary for Thornton Township. Check it out.
What's going on?
We're learning more about last night's Democratic caucus in Thornton Township, which may result in Tiffany Henyard's name not being placed on the ballot for supervisor.
Nate Rogers has been following this story closely, joining us live now with the latest on what's happening. Nate?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. What a mess. I got to tell you, we've been speaking to attorneys all day long about yesterday's
Does Nate have a matching sweater with his jacket?
The dark
is Nate coordinating?
I'm sure.
Is he coordinating? Shout out to Nate. Nate occasionally breaks out and he say, hey, listen, this ain't the Nate of last year. I'm upgrading this year. Nate occasionally breaks out and he gets the matching sweater with the jacket, with the hat. I'm surprised he ain't got the gloves on there, too. I just learned something new the other day. I went and bought some gloves.
You'll be grateful to all.
And Rita said, I bet you don't know what the tips of those gloves are for. I said, I bet you I do. These gloves, I bought these gloves, and they had these tips on them right here. She said, I bet you don't know what the tips of those gloves is for. I said, it's for decoration. I don't know. And she said, it's for being able to scroll through your phone and tap the screen of your phone. I said, what? I didn't know that. I'm so used to wearing the leather gloves, not wearing these. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know that the tips of these is so that you can actually scroll through and do stuff on your phone like normal? I just found that out. I learned something new the other day. Let's continue, Nate.
Very chaotic caucus, Democratic caucus in Thornton Township. Attorneys represent.
Now, everybody, I know that a lot of y'all knew, but some people didn't know that. Some people didn't know that. Some people didn't know that, all right?
Senator Napoleon Harris, who led the caucus, tell us that Henyard did not have a full slate, including a certified assessor. We also spoke to Henyard herself by phone today, and her attorney, they claimed that she was specifically targeted by caucus rules.
Napoleon Harris is a coward. He is a coward for not allowing the people to be heard.
Those rules eliminated any chances that Tiffany Henyard had, even if she had nominated anyone, even if she had nominated herself.
And take a look at your screen. Attorney Max Solomon is referencing this document right here, page 5 of caucus rules.
There's people in the chat that's saying that they didn't know. Stop acting like everybody knew. If it's only 1% of us that just now figured it out, it was worth talking about.
Supervisor candidates cannot already appear on the ballot for another office. Henyard is currently running for re-election as Dalton's mayor. Solomon says they did not receive caucus rules until the day of. Harris's attorney says they could have asked for the rules earlier. Now, yesterday's caucus was slated to start at 7 p.m., but Harris's supporters were pre-registered they were allowed in earlier. The caucus lasted 7 minutes, with Harris being nominated as Thornship Township Supervisor for the Democratic ticket. Fox 32 reached out to a non-partial election attorney and sent her the caucus rules. Here's more from attorney Carolyn Kaufner.
I have reviewed the caucus rules that they employed yesterday, and I know that they weren't followed because one of them requires everybody who's there, who's voting, to sign in and sign an affidavit attesting that they're qualified under the rules set forth by the election code and also by the caucus. I know there were people present there that didn't sign those affidavits who voted anyway, so that shows me there's a flaw. I know there were candidates for other offices who are not members of the Democratic Party who are running in this election as independent candidates for office in Thornton Township. I've heard they were present and participating. So what it sounds like is this was a little bit of a free-for-all.
So, and again, this is one of the reasons why I was saying that yesterday, is that all they're doing is setting up the township to have to spend more money, because you know that it's going to be lawsuits filed, and you know that there's going to be more contention. And I don't understand why. Listen. Everybody was so celebratory yesterday because they don't like Tiffany Henyard. And I agree that I believe that she did a horrible job as a Thornton Township supervisor and as the Dolton mayor, as I am familiar with a lot of the things that she did. But when you rush things through, when you have a 7-minute meeting, when you don't actually do things, and when people can see, the initial reaction is always going to be, oh yeah, they got her out of there and all of this other stuff. And that's what the initial reaction is going to be.
Now she's going to be.
But after the fallout and after all of the celebration, you're going to find out that when they try to do things dirty and when you try to do things backhanded, because let's be clear, for all of the people that are happy that she's out, what are you getting in return if she's not in? All right, let me pose it to you this way, because I got a completely different way to look at it. Because this person is basically telling you that they did it the wrong way, okay? So for all of the people that are happy that she's out, let's look at it from a different perspective. I'll use a different example. I like to use examples in order to illustrate a point, okay? Everybody was happy that Lori Lightfoot was ousted as mayor of Chicago. What did they get in return? Brandon Johnson, who in my opinion is worse. 10 times worse.
Worse than the other one.
When we don't actually go through the process to inform ourselves, and the only thing that you're doing is voting based off of hate, you can't make an informed decision. And who's to say that the person that is then representing them in the Democratic primary is any better or different, and that they're not going to be exponentially worse, or they may be better than Tiffany Henyard. Everybody that is celebrating her ouster, they're not even informed enough to realize what the thing that the person that is her opponent is running on, and how would they be any different? How would they be any different? And see, people look at me and they say, oh, Anton, but she gone, she a criminal. Man, I don't care. I care about informing people and making informed decisions. And when people are armed with information, if they still make a wrong decision, then they have to live with it. But we cannot circumvent the election process, because when you start to skip steps, when you try to oust people real fast, when you have a 7-minute meeting, when everybody is not registered properly, when they didn't sign an affidavit, when you didn't send out all of the meeting notes, or the fact that you're going to have a caucus until the day of, then that, first of all, continues to put taxpayers at a disadvantage, because now you got to spend money in order to justify that you did what you did. And hopefully you don't have to go back on your word and do the thing that you did. And a lot of times what you do is you then help the person that you're trying to oust still get into office because you didn't do it the right way. If you are so confident that you can beat her, then beat her. If you are confident that you can beat her, then beat her. But what you're doing is that you're continuing to... We are so ignorant that we just react emotionally to everything. And so when I take a step back and I say, wait a minute, y'all. I don't necessarily care for her, but this ain't the right way to go about doing it. Oh, Anton, I can't believe it. Why you... Blah, blah, blah. That's why I'm able to make a smart business decision based off of logic, and I don't think and react based off of emotions. That's why I then get the results that I get, and I can stand on it, and I don't have to worry about anything coming back to haunt me. And so when you go about doing things wrong, which is one of the reasons why you got her in there in the first place, is because y'all keep on reacting emotionally and you won't go through the process. You won't inform yourself. Nobody that's even mad at her, that's mad at her ouster, can tell me anything about her opponent. Nobody can tell me anything about her opponent. How do you know you're not getting a Brandon Johnson instead of a Lori Lightfoot now? Because everybody was happy when they ousted Lori Lightfoot, but nobody realized that they was actually getting, they didn't just get a demon, because Lori Lightfoot was the demon and Brandon Johnson was the devil. They ousted the demon for the devil. Tell me about the person that y'all got. Tell me about the person that replacing her in the Democratic primary. Why don't y'all consider an independent? How come y'all not considering a Republican? Why don't you go through the process instead of trying, oh, you know what, we did that 30 years ago, we did that 40 years ago, we're going to go through the caucus, it's going to be 7 minutes, we're going to get her out of it. Now look at you. Now you got to go back on your word. You look at the whole township, all of them people that were saying, hey, goodbye. All of y'all look like fools. And this is the reason why y'all township and y'all cities is messed up in the first place. It's the reason why y'all townships and y'all cities is messed up in the first place. It's because it's all emotional, ignorant BS, and nobody can actually make an emotional decision and think that they're going to get great results as a result of it.
It's an entirely human endeavor.
Tell me about the other guy. Do you even know his name? Do you even know his name? Do you know what the voter turnout rate was for her to get 80-something% of the vote in the first time that she was there? That she became mayor of Dolton? Somebody said, AD, you emotional. You told somebody to suck it from the back on this show. No, that's called entertaining. I'm entertaining.
Thank you.
That's what I am. I'm entertaining.
None of the gourmet.
All I'm saying is this.
Not about you.
We have to start thinking our way through. We can get physical, we can get emotional, we can jump off the roof and all of this stuff. What I'm telling you is that when you go through the process and you do it the right way, when you win, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it 10 times over 10. When you do things the right way and you don't make a decision based off of emotion and you make informed decisions, it's always going to be beneficial for you in the long run. It's always going to work out. I guarantee you this. This is what I know for sure. One thing is for sure, and two things is for certain. Based off of the way that the people over there in Thornton Township and how they operate, and even in Dolton, based off of the way that they moving, nothing is going to change whether she's there or not. Because A, they still going to be a blue Democratic hellhole. B, you don't know anything about the person that's coming in to replace her. And then C, the same people that voted her in is still there that's continuing to make emotional decisions. It's got to be a mindset shift. It's got to be a mindset change. You got to be so fed up with yourself that you start to educate yourself and you make better decisions. Ain't nothing going to change. What you think, that Dolton is going to be different, that Thornton Township is going to be different? It's not. It's not. Absolutely not. And you can move all you want to. You still got to take you with you. You can move all you want to. You still taking you with you. You taking the ignorant you that's dusty, broken, disgusted. And just because you running away from your problems don't mean that your problems ran away from you.
Yeah. Well, we're at an hour and 20 minutes. I'm going to finish up this level and then see what we can do.
To cave-ins. The Borlaug reserves were crushed.
You will never reach the stars. The mystics have seen your failure. A Gormak dares to speak as if he has a mystic's knowledge. This is sacrilege.
I have no idea what you're saying.
Visions are a sacred gift given only to me.
Where did you get this power? How do you use it? What do outsiders have to
comply?
I'm dying of I'll give you to the Voss.
We will use it.
Let's get out of here. All right. That's the end of that. I'm gonna go ahead and probably turn in the mission as quickly as I can and go from there. No, come on, baby. No. God, she's really needy. But anyway, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.